Coming to you from the Lydia Media Studios in the heart of Lewiston, Auburn, it's Lydia's Lunch Bunch, LA's afternoon morning show with Mark and Pam. We're covering news and events in the greater LA area and talking to the people making a difference in our community. Feel free to share your comments, questions, or suggestions via email at podcast@lydiamediallc.com.
Today's show is brought to you by United Piping, serving residential and commercial customers with new installations and repairs. Call today and schedule your oil and gas boiler cleanings at 754-4556. UPI, the best plumbers around. And by Ruper's Beverage and Redemption. When it comes to beer, wine, and spirits, don't botch it, squatch it. At 5 locations in Lewiston, Auburn, and Oxford. Learn more at rupersbeverage.com, and remember, the party starts at Ruper's.
We have the pleasure of being joined in studio today by the co-owner of Maine Source Homes and Realty, Jon Mercier. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Excellent. Thanks for joining us today.
Absolutely.
We so appreciate your time, and Jon is also the co-owner of Sonder and Dram, so we have a lot to cover today.
He's a busy
guy, yes. And yet he made time for us this morning.
He did. Reluctantly, I think.
I love getting up early.
I mean, who doesn't, right? We're going to talk to Jon all about Maine Source Homes and Realty and Sonder and Dram coming up here in just a bit. But before we get there, let's take a look at some headlines for Thursday, June 19th.
The Maine legislature passed a $300 million spending bill yesterday with a 74-73 vote in the House and 19-15 in the Senate. The bill aids Maine Care, nursing homes, school meal programs, and child care workers. It also eliminates the state's free community college program and increases taxes on tobacco, recreational cannabis, and audio and video streaming services. The bill now heads to the governor's desk.
The Auburn School Department is offering free breakfast and lunch to all children ages 18 and under this summer. Meals will be available at a dozen locations throughout the city. Dates, times, and more information are available on the city's Facebook page.
Lewiston's Kennedy Park Pool is set to open on Tuesday, June 24th. The pool and splash pad will be open Tuesday through Saturday from noon to 5 p.m. Use of the pool is free, but a membership form must be completed before entering. Forms are available through the City and the Recreation Department websites.
And a reminder that the Great Falls Brew Fest is Saturday at Simard Payne Memorial Park in Lewiston. You can get your tickets at baxterbrewing.com. And tomorrow is the final round of qualifying for the Lewiston Auburn Kiwanis Club's $100,000 hole-in-one contest. There's qualifying today and tomorrow from 4 to 7 p.m. at Tabor's in Auburn, and the contest is on Saturday at 3.
After the Brew Fest.
After the Brew Fest. There should be some interesting shots out there. All right, Pam, it's time for the weather, and we're going to let Alex take it away.
Weather, weather, weather. Weather, 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 weather. Weather, weather is the best. Is the best. Weather, weather, weather.
He's so famous. How's he dealing with his fame now?
His head could not get any bigger.
Barely fits in that batting helmet now, right?
For the weather, we have a mixture of sun and clouds today with some evening showers. We'll have a high of 80 and a low of 63. Partly sunny and windy tomorrow with a high of 75 and a low of 61. Blue skies and sunshine on Saturday for that Brew Fest with a high of 81. Early morning showers and partly sunny skies on Sunday with highs in the 80s. Summer is here, I think.
Oh, and we're gonna see the 90s on Monday and Tuesday next week.
It's gonna be a little warm.
Yep, it's gonna be, I think, 94 on
I'll
Tuesday.
take it. I love it.
Yep. Bring it on. In sports, Trevor Story hit a 2-run homer, and Garrett Crochet struck out 8 over 6 innings to lead the Red Sox over the Seattle Mariners 3-1. The Sox are off today and will visit Rafael Devers and the San Francisco Giants tomorrow night.
The North American Hockey League schedule was released yesterday. The Maine Nordiques will begin their season on the road against the Philadelphia Rebels on September 12th. Their first home game will be the following weekend against the New Jersey Titans. With the Colisée up for sale, it's uncertain where the Nords will call home. We hope it's still the Colisée.
We sure do.
Jon, how about a new business for you? You want to buy the Colisée and let the Nordiques continue?
Yeah, that is that's a tough business.
Yeah.
I did enjoy watching them in the playoffs recently.
Wasn't it
that was
fun?
Pretty fun.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it was awesome. They set attendance records,
They did.
too,
Yep,
this
that's
past
great.
season. So, yeah, we certainly hope that they can work things out with the Colisée. If not, they may call the Norway Savings Bank Arena home.
Wouldn't be the same, but
it
I'd
wouldn't.
still go.
Right. That deal's not done either. So
Right.
we hope they stay in the Lewiston Auburn area.
Yes.
Let's say that.
Jeez.
That is your news, weather, and sports. And right now it's time for the podcast segment that is
Sweeping.
Twin Cities. It's time for famous people birthdays.
They're famous. It's their birthdays. It's famous people birthdays. It's famous people birthdays.
Pam, I'm getting a look from John like
He's unsure.
he had to get
of
up
the jingle.
early for this, and now he's like, now you're making me listen to this. Are you kidding me?
We should have let him vote on the weather song.
I was curious about the ukulele,
Yeah.
but now it all
There you
makes
go.
sense.
Now you know.
Oh, wait till you hear the next one.
Oh,
It's
boy.
something. Let's take a look at FPBs for June the 19th. Actress Mia Sara is 58 years old today. She played Sloane on Ferris Bueller's Day Off in 1986. She played Ferris's girlfriend. Not sure what she did after that.
I'm like,
That's all I know her from.
If you would have said Mia Sara?
Yeah,
Yeah, I would be like, who is that?
right.
That's okay.
And then you see her face and you're like, oh, that's her. Yeah. Singer and dancer and former American Idol judge Paula Abdul is 63 years old today.
63.
63.
Straight up now.
Started her career as a cheerleader for the Los Angeles Lakers.
Really?
And she was discovered by the Jacksons and started choreographing music videos for Janet Jackson.
I didn't know all that. I
Yeah.
loved Paula Abdul.
Her debut studio album, Forever Your Girl, came out in 1988, and it became one of the most successful debut albums at the time, selling 7 million copies in the U.S. and setting a record for the most #1 singles from a debut album on the Billboard Hot 100 chart.
There you go.
Straight Up, Forever Your Girl, Cold Hearted, and Opposites Attract all went to
I
number one.
loved all of them.
Kathleen Turner, 71 years old today. She's won a couple of Golden Globes and was nominated for an Academy Award and 2 Tony Awards. She was in Romancing the Stone, Jewel of the Nile, The Man with Two Brains, and The War of the Roses.
Never heard of any of these.
Really? Singer Ann Wilson of Heart is 75 years old today. You know her as the lead singer for the band Heart, along with her sister, her younger sister, Nancy Wilson. Heart has sold over 35 million records worldwide, and Ann was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a member of Heart in 2013. Felicia Rashad is 77 years old today. She is rounding out FPBs for June 19th. She played Claire Huxtable on The Cosby Show.
Right.
Those are your FPBs for June 19th. Now we're going to take a look at some OTDs. And John, you're going to want to brace yourself for this one. It happened on this day. It happened on this day. It happened on this day.
Mark should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
That was brilliant.
Thank you. Thank you. That is by far the kindest response we've ever had to that jingle. And it's only been out for like 2 weeks.
On this day, 10 years ago, 2015, Pixar's Inside Out. 10 years ago already?
My
I feel
goodness.
like that was not that long ago. But that was starring Amy Poehler as Joy and Phyllis Smith from The Office as Sadness. That was a cute movie.
Yeah.
12 years ago, in 2013, Sopranos star James Gandolfini died of a massive heart attack in Italy. He was 51. And I remember you guys talked about Sopranos the other day on a podcast, and you were like, if Pam was here,
Yeah.
she would know. Yes, I watched. Did you watch The Sopranos?
I've watched the whole thing
Yes.
through a few times.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's a great go-to.
Yeah.
I've never seen it, but I heard the way it ended was very controversial.
It was.
Do either of you have an opinion on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think he got shot. But I don't know. I mean, there's all kinds of
It was
theories
like
about it.
choose your
you
own
know?
adventure
Yeah.
ending.
Yeah.
Like you had to just decide what happened there. But yeah, I mean, it just went black, and you were like, "Wait, what happened?"
What is
It was
going
the
on?
end. That
Yeah,
was it.
that was it. I was hoping they were going to do something, and then when he passed away, I was like, no, no
51
more
too.
Sopranos. All right, how about 33 years ago in 1992, Batman Returns was released, starring Michael Keaton as Batman and Danny DeVito as the Penguin. Michelle Pfeiffer was Catwoman in that as well.
Was that a good one? I don't remember seeing that one.
The first one was just...
It was pretty legendary. If you were a teenage boy, you see Michelle Pfeiffer,
in
that
the cat
suit. And
course.
yeah, about 20 years ago,
Danny DeVito as the penguin was pretty creepy too.
I actually think Michael Keaton's my favorite Batman.
He was great.
Yeah,
you know.
I agree.
So good.
What else do we have here? 41 years ago in 1984, the Chicago Bulls picked up Michael Jordan. That was a good decision, wasn't it?
It sure was. It worked out for them.
You did. He was coming from the University of North Carolina and was picked third in the NBA draft.
Olajuwon.
Hakeem Olajuwon went first to the Houston Rockets. A guy you've never heard of named Sam Bowie was chosen by the Portland Trailblazers as number 2.
The Portland Trailblazers passed on Michael Jordan to take Sam Bowie.
Little regret there, probably.
Yeah.
Another Ryan Leaf.
Right.
How about 47 years ago in 1978? That's the year I was born. Oh, God. Garfield, the cartoon cat, debuted in 41 U.S. newspapers for the first time.
Wow,
I didn't know Garfield was born the same year as me.
Look at you.
I thought it was much older.
I know, me too. Not me, Garfield.
No. Yes. Yeah, you're much younger.
That's right. John, you might want to move away. Stay out of arm's length.
And then 115 years ago in 1910, Father's Day was celebrated for the first time in Spokane, Washington.
Those are your FPBs and OTDs for June the 19th. This year marks 10 years of the Great Falls Brew Fest, and we're celebrating in a big way. Join us on June 21st at Simard Payne Memorial Park in Lewiston for live music all day. Over 40 craft breweries, local food trucks, lawn games, and an exclusive art vendor. It's the summer event you don't want to miss, but tickets are going fast. Get yours now at baxterbrewing.com. Great Falls Brew Fest, a decade of craft, community, and celebration. Now we shift focus fully to our guest in studio, co-owner of Maine Source Homes and Realty and co-owner of Sonder and Dram, Jon Mercier. And John, let's start off with Maine Source Homes and Realty. How did you get into the real estate business?
Oh, well,
There's nothing on my screen for that.
So I was friends with Mark Turner, and we had met on the golf course, of course. And I was working at Lost Valley. I'd worked there for a few years and ran their retail shop. And he kind of one day said, my dad needs some help, and it might be something you might, want to look into. And so I kind of set off and got my real estate license and showed up one day and made about 20 phone calls, and I had 4 appointments, and I sort of just hit the ground running and haven't stopped since.
Look at that.
Yeah, I mean, a few people called me crazy for just diving into it and just going full bore, but I guess that's the type of person I am. If I'm committed to doing something, I just dive in and do it because, for me,
no other way.
There's no other way, right? I mean, why be scared or hesitant? I mean, if you're going to fail, you're going to fail, but you might as well give it your all.
Yeah.
And that's why you're successful. You're not afraid of failure.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I believe so.
Yeah.
I mean, you do fail on occasion.
Sure.
Right? That comes with the territory. Yep. Not every idea is a great idea. Even though sometimes it feels great at night, and then you wake up the next morning, you're like, well, what were we thinking? Yeah. It was not that great of an idea.
Maybe that was something else. Maybe that was the beverages we were having that made it sound
possibly.
so amazing.
What is it about the real estate business that appealed to you and that made you want to decide to keep going and make a career out of it?
Well, it's a very interesting business. I do enjoy meeting a lot of people in the community. When I worked at Lost Valley, I had an opportunity to meet a lot of people, a lot of families, a lot of kids. I worked at Martindale as well before that, and I met a lot of people in the community through Martindale. And so real estate is just basically a people business. It's helping people achieve their goals. And it's really rewarding when you get to help like a first-time home buyer who, they may have showed up at a a brick and mortar bank, and the banker told him, well, you need 20% down to buy, and this and that. And then you run into them and you say, well, no, there's more opportunities. There's all kinds of different loans out there. You're not just stuck with a conventional loan or whatever. And when you walk them through these different steps, and then next thing you know, you're handing them the keys to a house. I mean, it's pretty life-changing for a lot of people. So it's really cool to be part of that experience.
Nice. Yeah, it's one of the biggest, decisions and financial decisions people make in their lives, and that's cool to be a part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Jon, do you have any advice for first-time home buyers, especially in this crazy market?
I find a lot of buyers nowadays let fear dictate their goals. And, I was talking to somebody the other day and I said, there's always a silver lining. There's always a good reason to do something. But owning a home is really the key to wealth. And there's never a bad time to buy, because buying real estate is not a short-term investment. It's not, something that you should be thinking, well, I'm just going to own it for a couple of years. I mean, if you look at any 10-year chart with real estate, you're gonna grow some wealth. You're gonna, gain equity. So I think if somebody has that goal, they want to start putting themselves in a better position financially, I think they should go for it. And the market is always changing. And yes, it's very difficult sometimes for buyers, but it's not impossible. And you got to be tenacious, and you got to just keep trying. It's funny, the biggest thing I hear from some buyers are, Jon, I don't want to waste your time with showing me all these houses, writing all these offers. And I'm like, this is not a waste of time. This is my job, and I'm going to do it as many times as it takes to get you into this house, as long as you're willing to put the effort in as well. Yeah.
What does that effort look like when they come to you, especially a first-time home buyer, and they say, Jon, I'm interested in buying a house? What are some of the questions you ask? What's the process look like?
Yeah, well, you gotta get a handle on what their financial portfolio looks like. How long have you been on your job? What are you making for a salary? Are you commission? Are you a W-2 employee? And once I kind of understand that, then I can tell them what their loan options are. So, there's everything from USDA offers 100% financing. You can get free grant money with Maine State Housing. But all these programs have different income limits and different qualifications. So not everybody fits the box for everything. So the first thing I try to do is understand, what their options are going to be. And then we find a lender that has those options, and we get them pre-approved. And then we start our search, and that's the beginning of the journey right there. And the exciting part, of course, is getting in the houses and, dreaming about painting and where your furniture is going to go and all that. But really the work to get to that point is done before that, is making sure that you're pre-approved, making sure you know how much money you're going to need to go through this transaction, really educating them on that process and what to expect, and so that they can be confident out there in the buyer's market.
Yeah, because you don't want to, that person saying, Jon, I don't want to waste your time. You're not, if you go through that process first. You don't want to be looking at things and you get your hopes up for one thing, and then ultimately you're like, ooh, I really can't make that happen. So
yeah, I think some people do come in with unreasonable expectations, but most people just really don't know. They're just unsure, and sometimes they're embarrassed to ask. I should know like what I could do buy for a house or whatever, but it's not something you learn in school. Right. Whether you're working with me or any other trusted real estate agent, that's really the first step, is to get hooked up with a good buyer agent and figure out the financial side of it. And then after that, honestly, then it's a scheduling thing, believe it or not. And I've told buyers that, sometimes I'm not the best fit to help them, because maybe their schedule only allows them to look at houses on weekends. And I've got some young kids, and maybe weekends aren't the best for me. So I lean on my team and we all work together to make sure that buyer is paired with an agent that their schedules jive. Yeah. Because honestly, that in this market, if a house pops up tomorrow and it fits the bill,
timing is everything.
You might only have 2 or 3 days to get this buyer through the house, to vet it, to get an offer written, to get your pre-qual letter, updated and to get the offer in. So all that's important.
I feel like everybody knows a realtor.
Yeah. Well,
So-
there's millions of them.
We had this conversation last night. But I mean, if you know or know someone that knows a reputable and experienced realtor, is that a good place to start?
Absolutely.
Because then they can tell you, like, give you recommendations on the financial ends and who to talk to for that stuff.
That's absolutely the first place to start. And, lenders will say, well, start with us as well. But the truth is lenders sell products, right? And not every lender has every product. So I work closely with many lenders, and their products do overlap. But a lot of times there might be a product like, if Pam says, hey, I want to buy this investment property. Well, it might be with these two lenders would have the product that would best fit her. So if you go to the wrong lender start and they don't have the product for you, you might get denied, or you might be told you can't do this. And then that sometimes will shut a buyer right down, and then they'll stop trying.
Right.
Are there any specific areas throughout the state where you are showing properties?
I tend to stay about an hour and a half from Lewiston, Auburn. Every market's very different. And so, if they're going up to, Presque Isle or something, and they say, John, what do you think of this house up there? I'm like, well, I don't really know the Presque Isle market.
Yeah.
So I'll try to refer them to somebody up in Presque Isle that knows the market, that can better advise them.
Sure. Home prices seem to have been climbing steadily for quite a while now.
Absolutely.
Do you see that leveling off anytime soon?
Yeah, I feel, and this is my opinion, it's leveling off a little bit right now, and it changes almost week to week, We still have very low inventory, especially in Lewiston, Auburn. I was looking yesterday, I think there was about 27 homes for sale. And I remember back in 2015, there would be anywhere from 250 to 400 homes for sale in the Lewiston, Auburn area. I used to do these market reports for a B&I group, and I pulled up a few of those. And I'm just like, no wonder this was a buyer's market.
Right.
We had inventory that would sit for 6 to 12 months, on average. I mean, that when you took a listing in 2015, you would say, well, I need 12 months to sell this.
Right.
Take a listing today, and they're like, well, how many days do you need to sell this?
Right.
It's a little different. But, a good balanced market is really great for everybody. If the home can sit there for a few days to allow enough buyers to go through and have an opportunity to negotiate, that's good. But you don't want it sitting, around so long that sellers can't plan their future either. So that's sort of what we strive for, is a balanced market.
Outside of the pricing, have you seen any other changes in this industry throughout your career?
Oh, there's all kinds of changes. A lot of rulemaking and law changes that happen. A lot of disclosure changes. A lot of ways that we work with buyers. Buyer agency is a fairly new concept. It hasn't been around that long. I think it was the late 2000s it started. Before that, you were sort of at the mercy of the selling agent. The selling agent had all the power, and they controlled the whole narrative. But now you can have representation from buyer agents, and they can, look out for your best interest. And that's really a good thing for everybody, because you want everybody to have the best advice they can have and get the most education they can when they're going through this process. Because as Pam said, it's the biggest purchase you're going to make in your lifetime, most likely, for most people.
I did not know that. Like the buyer.
And most, a lot of states still don't have buyer agency, but they're going to now because the National Association of Realtors had a big settlement, and it sort of brought buyer agency to the forefront. Maine's good with that. We've had it for a while, and it's really a good state to buy real estate.
The first home I bought was actually the home I grew up in, and I bought it from my parents. I didn't need any of that, I guess. So I didn't know that there wasn't any representation as a buyer versus sellers.
Yeah, well, hopefully your parents treated you well.
Oh, well, that house is not mine anymore. Sold it a couple years ago, so which is interesting. I thought about selling it prior to when I did sell it, and I was looking at maybe spending $5,000 to get out of that house.
Yeah.
And then when I did sell it, I made a profit, a significant profit. And like that swing was literally just a few years. It was crazy.
Yeah,
How much that swing was.
I remember the day that Pennsylvania shut down, and we buy our houses from, we're also a modular dealer. That's the other side of our company. It's sort of our sister company. And when they did that, I looked at my partner, Mark Turner, and I said, I don't know what's going to happen. We might not have a company anymore. This
Right.
might be the end of people buying houses. I actually thought that home sales were going to slam the brakes on, because in 2019 we were starting to lose inventory. Selling was gaining momentum, and boy was I wrong.
One of those times, right?
Boy was I
One
wrong.
one of those
It
times.
became the opposite of that. Everybody just picked up all the inventory, and these values just skyrocketed.
It's crazy.
You also provide advice and help people build their homes.
That's
if
right,
They need
yeah.
that service as well.
Yeah. We're very unique in that aspect. If I have a buyer who can afford a new house, and we're kind of not finding what they want, or maybe there's a lot in the neighborhood they want to be in. There's definitely construction programs out there that we can work with. If we own the land, and we do own land all over Lewiston, Auburn, we can actually do what's called like a turnkey package, where we sell them the land with a house, and they can use the same loan as they would use to buy an existing home. We just create that existing home for them that they get to design, pick out options. And there's a lot of advantages to that. Like if you have a big family and you need lots of bedrooms, and you may be able to find big houses, but it's really hard to find that unicorn, really unique house. So building is definitely a great option for a lot of people. New construction has gone up with the market. Inflation has hit every corner of our society. There's no question about that.
And finding reputable builders and contractors too.
Yeah, and the good ones are busy, and even the bad ones are busy. Everybody's busy. Not to digress, but there's a bill in there right now for contractors, general contractors, to be licensed in Maine, and I most of the reputable contractors I know are all for it.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, let's put a
It
little
makes sense.
standard here. So what's interesting is, as a modular dealer, we are licensed by the state. Modular dealers have to be licensed, and the set crews have to be licensed, and so there's actually a level of protection there versus hiring a site builder. With a site builder, there's no licensing, obviously. Like Pam could build your house tomorrow,
You don't want me doing that. Trust me.
But obviously, Pam may not be your first choice out there. But if Pam has a really good marketing, division,
I can do that.
she might convince you that she is. So that's the importance of licensing, I think, is just having some protection there from.
I think a lot of homeowners are in favor of that legislation as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
I've been burned a couple of times, and when I saw that recently in the news, I was like, well, isn't it about time? I mean, Maine's one of the only states that doesn't license their contractors.
Yeah, it's kind of strange,
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had 2 home inspectors in here, SPS Inspection and Rick Browning from Upfront Home. They talked about the importance of inspection, even if it's a brand new build.
Absolutely,
For that
Yeah.
particular reason, I would imagine.
I mean, homes are built by people, and people are not perfect,
No.
and that's actually one of the things we say is, listen, we're going to give you a new home. It's going to be new, but it's not a perfect home, and it's not new forever. You know? So you do have to, take care of it and upkeep and all that stuff. But you do have warranty protections. And I think our company does a really good job of going above and beyond to make sure that any problems that do arise, whether it's the plumber's fault or the guy screwing in the sheetrock or whoever's fault it was, that we're going to come back and make it right and make sure that their house is the way they want it.
John, this has been informative and educational. Is there anything else about Maine Source Homes and Realty that you'd like to add?
We're a second-generation company. We celebrated our 50th year in business 2 years ago, 2022. 3 years ago. Oh, yeah, it is 2025, isn't it?
I do it all the time.
Yeah.
Flies.
Time flies as you get old.
So you're 53 years old.
I am. Yeah, I've been doing it since I was 0. Yes.
Negative, whatever.
But, and it's just, I think with anything, you want to vet who you're working with. And companies that have longevity, that have been doing it forever, that have been family owned, those are my types of companies. Bigger corporations that are owned by out-of-state people, I just don't think you get the same level of service. So I'm really proud to be part of that, and I think that our customers that have worked with us, we get a lot of repeat customers. That is a lot of my business is just dealing with repeat customers. And I think that just speaks for itself in how we treat our clients.
Yeah, there's a reason you've been around 53 years.
Yeah.
Right? Not you in particular, because I know you're not 53, but the business.
Yes.
And where can folks go online to learn more about Maine Source Homes and Realty?
MaineSourceHomes.com is our primary website. There they can search real estate, they can look at floor plans, they can get some information about us, and when they're ready, they can reach out, and we're there to jump in and start helping them through the process.
And answer any questions they might have.
Absolutely, yeah.
Whether you want a sit-down meal or a grab-and-go, Pat's Pizza in Auburn offers delicious sandwiches, pasta, salads, and pizza at family-friendly prices. Pat's Pizza, serving the L.A. area since 1985. Open daily from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. at 85 Center Street in Auburn. Online at patsauburn.com.
Let's talk about Sonder and Dram for a little bit. You are the co-owner of Sonder and Dram, which is located on Ash Street in Lewiston. Can you describe the vibe at Sonder and Dram? Because it is unlike anything I've experienced.
Yeah, I've been told it's a Portland restaurant in Lewiston many, many times. The vibe is definitely relaxed. We play music that we try to, create different, feelings and everything, but what really makes Sonder and Dram stand out is the mixologists there. These guys are the best. I mean, I can't get an old-fashioned anywhere else. Unfortunately, I've been...
He's tried.
I have. I've tried.
You've been spoiled.
They really, over the years, we've had so many talented bartenders there, so many talented people that have contributed to the drinks. You're not going to find a mixed drink menu anywhere else like it. And it's really a great, unique spot. And when people discover it, they tend to, come back a lot. Yeah. And we also have a food program that's really good. It's kind of like high-end bar food. It's comfort food, but our chef's a very talented person, and they do a great job with that. Sonder
and Dram is the restaurant that got me to eat Brussels sprouts.
I know, and it's kind of eclectic. The menu, you look at it, you're like, all right, well, hot dog, peanut butter and fluff with bacon, and Brussels sprouts. Okay.
What is going on here?
Yeah. But everything is it's really cooked well and really good.
So good. My wife ordered the Brussels sprouts, and she's like, "You got to try one." I'm like, "I'm not really into Brussels sprouts."
Do I really?
Like, "I'll just try one." So I tried one, then I ordered my own.
It's amazing. I can't do that at home.
Right.
I may be part owner, but I'm not the talent there. There's no question about that.
What was the inspiration behind opening a bar and restaurant?
When we opened it, I had a small development group that consisted of 7 people, and we had started buying apartment buildings. And this was kind of a dream of them, of the group to do this project. And we believe in downtown Lewiston, and we believe that there's so much potential there. When we moved into the McGillicuddy building, it was run down. There was a Subway shop in it, sandwich shop, and that was it. There had been a hairdresser in the basement. Just like so many buildings on that stretch, it needed somebody to put some money, some love, and inspiration in. And, So that's sort of how it started, and it took us many years to get there, and we definitely think there's still so much potential downtown. There's so much more that area can grow. We're really psyched that the Downtown Association is reformed. We're excited about new leadership in Lewiston, and we want to contribute, and we want to be part of bringing that downtown experience to Lewiston and help maybe do a small part of helping the reputation of the area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We also believe that.
Yeah.
Hoping at some point there's a tipping point where it becomes what it could be.
Yeah. Well, and I think if more people, like I said, you gotta have conviction to do this stuff. But I think if more people do, if people take the opportunity to go downtown, there's a lot of great things down there. El Pocho's just moved there. They're fantastic. There's another restaurant opening up in Cowbell space.
Yeah.
I just think that, like you said, there's got to be a tipping point where people, mainstream recognize that there's really some great places down there. Not everything has to be Olive Garden. And
Exactly.
Please, no. Nothing against Olive
no,
Garden, but
and those are great staples. But there's other options.
Yes.
You just gotta go and try it.
Yeah, and I feel like it's always the people that don't live here that come here and they're like, this isn't so bad.
Yeah.
It's always the people right here that are talking how bad it is. Yeah. Well, what are you doing? No.
Yeah, I mean, you can manifest anything you want. You can manifest a bad situation, or you could be part of making it a better solution. Yep. There's really two choices there.
I agree.
Yep.
It is a very unique name, Sonder and Dram. Yep. Where did it come from?
Well, I voted against it originally.
You got overruled, obviously.
Sonder is an interesting term. I think it's a made-up term, but it does have a definition. It's I don't know exactly verbatim, but you can look it up while I stutter here. But it's sort of like, a concept where you may be the main focus of your own life, but you're just the background of somebody else's.
Gotcha.
And Dram is a unit that they use for shots and drinks, and so the two words seem to fit. And I honestly don't know how exactly we got there, but we did. And there was a lot of names thrown around,
What was your favorite?
I don't even know if I want to tell you. I liked brick. I don't know why. It's a brick building. We have bricks. I liked brick. It sounded strong.
Yeah. Right?
And, it's kind of like, brick. Go to brick.
Yeah.
So I have the meaning of Sonder. The realization that each random passerby is living a life as vivid and complex as your own.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
If someone went to Sonder and Dram when it first opened and they haven't been back, what would you say is different? Like, what are some new things that are happening? Or
Well, we've added some TVs, and we have the lounge that we're working on expanding upstairs. Right now it's open on Wednesdays. And I'm there on Wednesdays running a cribbage league.
There you go.
And that space is absolutely beautiful. It is absolutely amazing. We do lots of little things. I mean, we're a small team.
Yeah.
We do some private functions. We did a lot of Bates graduation parties as they were wrapping up their season.
Nice.
And, the Bates crowd seemed to latch onto it, and they really saw that as their little secret.
And tonight from 6:30 to 9:30, Toby McAllister playing live at Sonder and Dram.
He is?
Right.
He is.
That's right. We got music.
And Toby was recently featured in the summer issue of LA Metro Magazine, which is out now. So read the article and go check him out.
Yeah. No, he's
6:30 to
wonderful.
9:30, you said?
Yep.
Yeah, we've been bringing in music every Thursday and sometimes on Saturday, and boy, there's so many talented.
There's so many.
I just heard TJ Swan yesterday play at Lost Valley for a little realtor event we had, and he's played at Sonder, and we've got just a rotation of awesome performers.
Yeah. There's no
cover, no nothing, just yeah.
We definitely have an abundance of musical talent in
We
the
sure
area,
do.
for sure.
Yeah. Toby's going to be on this show next Friday. So be sure to
Oh, wow.
check that
There we
one out
go.
as well. Toby's all over the
Toby's
place.
everywhere.
And if you'd like more info on Sonder and Dram, you can go online to sonderdram.com.
Next year marks 30 years of Uncle Andy's Digest. What started as a beloved print publication has grown into Lydia Media, a full-service marketing partner helping local businesses thrive. From LA Metro Magazine and the Lydia's Lunch Bunch podcast to social media management, website design, and advertising across all platforms, we've got your marketing needs covered. If you're a business making a difference in our community, let's connect. Lydia Media is here to tell your story and help you grow. Lydia Media, in business, for business. Learn more at lydiamediallc.com.
John, we like to close out the show with a segment called 3 Random Questions, where we ask you questions that have absolutely nothing to do with anything we've talked about.
Perfect.
You good with that?
Sure.
All right. You're a sports fan.
Yes.
Okay. If you could attend any sporting event in history and have the best seats in the house, what would it be and why?
Oh, geez. There's so many great sporting events that have just ended wild.
Right.
You know? I mean, even this weekend, the U.S. Open golf tournament, the way that ended was absolutely incredible. You know, there's just so many, but I don't know. It's got to be, it's got to be like one of the Masters where Tiger closes it out, you know, maybe like the 99 Master. I don't know. Even watching John Daly win, you know, in British Open
He was so awesome.
would be amazing. You know, there's just so many though. It's hard to pick just one, but it's got to be some golfing event for me.
Gotcha.
You know, I couldn't just pick one.
It's like any one of them.
Any one of them.
Yeah.
You know, just you know, watching those guys come down the stretch. You know, millions of eyes on them.
Yeah.
Just
Especially like
make
Tiger's.
make these shots look so easy. It's
Right.
just so incredible. For anyone that golfs, they know how incredibly hard it is, especially when there's a little pressure on you.
Yeah.
You know, we play for $10 and act like it's the end of the world. You know, you watch what these guys do. It's just
I don't play for anything. And I'm like,
yeah. So,
all right. If you could switch professions with anybody, since you dive in head first and hit the ground running with real estate, which kind of came out of this, it wasn't, did you think about wanting to do that prior to, or yeah?
no.
So
but
if
before
you
that,
weren't-
I wanted to open a ski shop and a golf shop.
yeah.
Yeah. I actually wrote a business plan. It was something like the Golf and Ski Shop. And that year, Golf and Ski Shop opened up in Scarborough.
Did someone hack into your computer?
I don't know. I mean, it wasn't that original of an idea. If you're a guy in Maine that
Wasn't like
golfs in the
brick.
summer and then snowboards
Right.
or skis in the winter,
Yeah.
you know, you're kind of like, well, we could do both. You know, I thought it was pretty original at the time. I don't know, maybe that. I think that those are my favorite hobbies, you know, and Maine is great that you get to do both.
Yeah.
Okay, final question. What's your favorite way to unwind after a busy day?
Jeez. Well, you know, grabbing a old-fashioned at Sonder and Dram is
go.
a pretty excellent way to, you know, relax for a minute before heading home and
Surrounded by good vibes. And,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And Brussels sprouts.
And Brussels sprouts. Yes.
Or truffle fries.
There you go.
Yeah, those are pretty amazing. Aioli sauce.
Well, John, you made it through 3 random questions. Congratulations. And thank you so much for sharing your time and your knowledge with us this morning. Much appreciated.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks to our sponsors for today, Ruper's Beverage and Redemption and United Piping. And if you'd like to be part of the Lydia's Lunch Bunch advertising family, reach out to Pam via email at pam@lydiamediallc.com.
Have a great day, and remember, don't bite your cat. And I will say I have bitten my cat.